This is Nyay Uncut, where truth speaks and silence ends. Subscribe now, because unsubscribe is also injustice.
Title: Why Some People Misuse SC/ST Act. Real versus Fake Cases. Nyay Uncut. What if I told you that in some parts of India, a single word can send a person behind bars without bail? But in other parts of India, centuries of oppression still go unnoticed. Welcome to Nyay Uncut, where we remove the noise and uncover what lies beneath. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most sensitive and controversial laws in India, the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. A law meant to protect the historically oppressed, but one that is now also accused of being misused. So, the question is, what is the truth? Is it justice for the voiceless? Or has it become a weapon in some hands? Watch till the end. Half-truths can be dangerous. Part 1. What is the SC/ST Act? The Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act, 1989, was not made overnight. It came after decades of violence, humiliation, discrimination, and denial of basic rights to Dalits and Adivasis. Under this law, if a person from a scheduled caste or tribe is insulted, harmed, denied access, threatened, attacked, or publicly humiliated on the basis of caste, the accused can be arrested immediately, even without preliminary investigation. The reason? Because normal laws failed to protect these communities for centuries. Because police stations refused to file complaints. Because village panchayats silenced voices. This act was meant to be a shield. Part 2. Why this law is absolutely necessary. Let us not forget the brutal truths. In 2023, over 55,000 cases were registered under this act. A Dalit boy in Rajasthan was beaten to death for drinking water. In Jharkhand, an Adivasi woman was stripped and paraded in public for demanding land rights. These are not rare cases. They happen in villages, towns, even metros, but are often ignored. People say caste is over in cities. That is not true. Caste shows itself in job interviews, in housing, in school classrooms. Sometimes loudly, sometimes silently. The SC/ST Act exists because India still fails to treat all its citizens equally. And any attempt to weaken this law directly affects the most vulnerable citizens of this country. Part 3. The misuse, real or just a myth? But here is the other side. Some people have used this law for revenge, for political pressure, and sometimes for money. Let us look at some real incidents. 1. A schoolteacher in Uttar Pradesh was falsely accused by a colleague after a workplace dispute. He spent 3 months in jail before the case was proven false. Though, in Madhya Pradesh, a contractor was threatened with an SC/ST case by a worker demanding extra payment, even when no atrocity had occurred. Teen. In Kerala, a family was boycotted and defamed after a neighbor filed a false FIR under the act, simply due to a land boundary issue. Yes, such fake cases do exist. And they ruin innocent lives, destroy careers, damage reputations. Once the FIR is filed, the accused loses job, gets jailed, and is socially shamed, even if proven innocent later. And here is the most disturbing part. The law does not allow for anticipatory bail in many cases. Even basic police inquiry is bypassed during arrest. Is that fair? Part 4. What the courts said. In 2018, the Supreme Court of India ruled that some safeguards must be added to the SC/ST Act to avoid misuse. The court suggested no automatic arrest, preliminary inquiry, and permission from a senior officer. But this led to massive protests. Dalit communities felt betrayed. They said, "Are you weakening our protection?" Later, the parliament reversed the judgment and restored the original law. So again we ask, who decides where justice begins and where it ends? This is not black and white. This is deep gray. Part 5. Real victims on both sides. On one hand, a young Dalit student is humiliated every day in college but cannot gather courage to speak. On the other hand, a middle-class man spends 6 months in jail over a false case, while his family struggles. Both are victims. One of centuries of injustice. One of law without accountability. And that is the complex reality of the SC/ST Act today. We must protect the oppressed, but also punish the false accusers. Conclusion. So, what is the solution? We cannot abolish the act. We cannot let it be misused either. We need speedy trials, so false cases are dismissed quickly. We need legal awareness, so the oppressed know their rights and limits. We need strong punishment for false accusations, not just for justice, but to protect the law itself. Because if a law loses trust, it loses power. Your turn. Now I want to ask you, do you believe the SC/ST Act is more helpful or harmful today? Have you or someone you know been affected by this law, positively or negatively?